my friend Scott. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you, Matt. How are you?
Awesome. Scott, I'm excited that we have lured in a guest for our Furlough Friday video, Ms. Jessica George. Jessica, welcome. Glad to have you
Hi,
here.
Jessica.
Thank you. Thanks.
So our last two videos, Scott, and for your awareness, Jessica, we talked about Scott being on a furlough with his team, and his team, a total of 7, were all furloughed at once, and it really caught my attention how Scott got the team together, kept the team together during the furlough, is still doing that so that they can support each other during this challenging time. So we made a video about that. Then we talked about servant leadership as a theme before the furlough and how that's really supporting them now. Jessica, I saw, so Scott, I met Jessica through doing some work with a retail company. I spoke at their conference, and we did some disc work. And I became aware that Jessica was on a furlough, and immediately saw she started doing things like putting out videos, resume tips, and tips on the difference between a furlough and a layoff and how to handle those. And it's immediately stuck with me that she was taking this furlough time and saying, how can I make the most out of it? I have time on my hands. Right. How can I learn? How can I grow and become better? And so I thought she would make an awesome guest. So Jessica, tell us a little bit about yourself and the furlough, how it happened, and how you've used that time since then.
All right, well, thank you, Matt and Scott, for this opportunity. It sounds like a wonderful opportunity to get professionals together to talk about stuff like this. So appreciate that. But I have 15 years of talent acquisition and HR experience in a variety of different industries. This is my first time ever being on furlough. I've experienced a reduction in force. I've been laid off before, but never in my professional career have I ever experienced a furlough. And I'm talking to a lot of other professionals who are also in that same boat. So I've been working since I was 16 years old, and not being able to work or go somewhere to do something really kind of fueled my energy and my passion around trying to do something. So during this time of furlough, I've been, like you said, creating YouTube videos. One of the things that I wanted to come out of this furlough was working not only on my leadership skills, but my communication skills, my presentation skills, and what better way than trying to practice by putting out YouTube videos. So I've been doing the YouTube videos to help candidates who are, kind of confused about the definition. So I did have a video about furlough and layoff, what does that all mean? Because I had a lot of questions from my family and friends who were, kind of curious, like, what does this mean? Do you get to go back to work? Is this a permanent thing? What does that all mean? So I kind of started with that concept. And then as soon as I put that video out, I had a lot of questions from people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn. What can I do to prepare myself? Do I need to up my resume? What should a resume look like? So that kind of fueled some other ideas on different videos to do. So I kind of made it my job, if you will, to put out different videos as I had since I really have a lot of time to do that. So, just whatever I can, if it will help one person or help 100 people, I feel like just putting my time and effort into those videos will help me. And it's also helped me learn better communication. Video editing, is part of my job. In fact, before I got furloughed, I was actually promoted to a director of talent acquisition and leadership development role. So the leadership development side was new for me. So, what can I do when I get back in order to help my team, as far as not only, like I said, my leadership skills, but, performance coaching and, just the communication. So I think putting out these videos has been really helpful for me to kind of learn those skills and sharpen them. So that way, when I do get back to work, I'm even more prepared.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. There aren't too many people that will kind of take the bull by the horns, if you will, in this kind of situation, I've found. And
Right.
do something, right? So that's just fabulous that you're doing that, and it's even more fabulous that you're putting it out for others to be able to see and learn from. So that's really cool,
Thank you.
and it makes me think. Have you had any of your team or anybody that you've talked with, reach out to you and just kind of say, I'm just so overwhelmed. I'm so disheartened in this whole process. I'm wondering if you have, and if you have, what have you said to them?
Well, I feel like, especially being on the HR side, everyone's used to coming to HR to talk to people about problems. So I've had a lot of people, not only that I work with, but people that I was connected to, former employees of mine as well. And, everyone's kind of in that cone of uncertainty. We're not sure, what's going to happen. Furlough doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to turn into a layoff. So, there's
Right.
always that hope that you're going to get to come back to work. But then there's also the other side. I've also had a few friends of mine that were furloughed and then just recently found out that it was going to be a permanent layoff. So I always just tell them, not to take this thing personally. We're all, there's millions of Americans right now that are experiencing furlough or a layoff, and it has nothing to do with how you performed as an employee. It's nothing personal.
Right.
But how you come out of it is going to mean a lot more. And really, it's a business decision. So, you can't really look at it as a personal attack on your performance. But, one of the things that I always tell them too is, especially as a recruiter, I know one of the questions I'm going to start asking candidates when I get to interview again is, what did you do during furlough? What, because I don't want to hear like, well, I took the opportunity to watch Netflix and I,
Right. Played some
worked
golf.
Played some golf. I, played some video games. I want to know what they did on a professional level, especially if you are looking to either step into a new career, maybe a new role. What kind of skills did you do? So those are some of the things that I always keep in mind as well. So like I mentioned, I'm doing my YouTube videos. One of the things I've always been interested in is learning a new language. And I always, chalked it up to, I don't have enough time to learn. There's, I'm traveling all the time, so no time for personal or professional development. Well, now there is no excuse. We were ordered to stay at home. So I got one of the apps that you can get online and, just started learning basic Spanish, So I'm just trying to think of different things that I can do, read books, reaching out to professionals on LinkedIn that, kind of are in the industry that I'm interested in and at the level that I want to achieve. I've been able to network with some authors as well. And in fact, I got to I'm previewing a book right now and going to write a review about coaching. So I found an author online and he sent me his book. So, just try and find things like that. So I always tell people, don't be negative about this whole situation. But really, I think what employers are going to look for, especially when people can get back to work, is, what they did during this time to strengthen and, master some new skill.
Excellent. Great advice.
Can you all hear me? I had some audio problems there for a second. Good. You know what, Jessica, that is such an awesome story because there's a couple things in there. One is there's that emotional reaction to I've been furloughed, I'm going to take this personally. And then you've got kind of a choice of, am I going to just go with the negative side and just say this sucks and I'm going to shut down and knock out, 4 seasons of my favorite Netflix series? Or am I going to use this time wisely, learn a language, do some sort of skill that's so important? Because if regardless, if you're in the camp of I'm on furlough and I'm going to hang out and wait for my employer to bring me back, okay, make yourself so valuable that you have to be brought back with some new skill or something that you gained. Or if you're in the camp of saying, I'm going to go, this is job search time, I'm making a change, learn some skill that's going to make you the top applicant. And so I think that's going to be important for employers. You just nailed it, Jessica, that's a question you're going to ask is how did you use this time? Because how they use their time at furlough is going to be an indicator of how they use their discretionary time at work, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's great. So Jessica, I think you brought us a great example. We have, well, I say we, I think I started the tradition of ending with a quote. And so if you'll honor me.
But I like it.
It's a quote here. This comes out of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He wrote, proactivity means more than merely taking initiative. It means that as human beings, we are responsible for our own lives. Our behavior is a function of our decisions, not our conditions. We can subordinate feelings to values. We have the initiative and responsibility to make things happen. And so I think, Jessica, you've given, both of you, have given great examples of, I'm in this position of furlough. This is a challenge, but I'm not going to be a victim to my conditions. I'm going to jump in and hold those, take responsibility for things to happen. So thank you both for being here. It was awesome to hear from you, Jessica. It's great to see you this week, my friend Scott. Y'all be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.